Easy money, Travis Knox laughed, waving the wager slip in front of the crowd while the quiet farmer stood in muddy boots beside a crate of bruised apples. Why would a trained black belt fear a man who barely raised his voice? Why did that farmer refuse to explain the faded Navy coin in his palm? And why did the county director suddenly go pale when an old call sign was spoken across the loudspeaker? By sunset, the whole fair would learn that the man they mocked had once walked into places most people never survive. But the real question was not who could win a bet. It was who had been lying all along. The loudspeaker cracked twice, and the fairground noise folded around it like a held breath. Marcus Hale stood on the plywood stage with mud drying along his boots. A crate of bruised apples sat near his knee. Under the bulbs, every dent in the fruit looked darker than it was. Travis Knox lifted the wager slip. "Easy money," he said, smiling toward the sponsor's tent. "Pine County came for a show." A few people laughed. Marcus did not turn. His hand stayed closed around the coin in his palm. Brent Carver stepped beside the microphone. "Let's keep this friendly," he said. "This is a charity event." "Friendly?" Travis glanced at Marcus's coat. "I offered him a fair chance," he signed. Naomi stood 3 rows back, blocked by 2 men in sponsor badges. One hand held the chain her mother used to wear. "Dad," she said, too softly. Travis saw Marcus's boots shift. "There it is. Second thoughts?" The boards were damp from rain. Beyond the lights, the fair smelled of fried dough, wet hay, diesel exhaust, and burnt sugar. Brent took the slip. "Mr. Hale, if you withdraw now, the hardship review proceeds under the amended rule sheet." Marcus opened his hand. The coin lay against his skin, dull brass, rubbed smooth except for a tiny mark near the edge. It had pressed a red circle into his palm. "I understand what you're saying," Marcus said. "That's not what I asked." "No." The word moved across the microphone. The crowd quieted in pieces. Travis laughed. "No, what?" Marcus turned his head slightly. "No, I don't understand why a rule sheet changed after the course started." A murmur passed through the first rows. Deputy Owen Pike adjusted his belt. "That's administrative," Brent said. "It became public when you put my name on that paper." Travis stepped closer. "You hear that? Man thinks a county fair is a courtroom." Marcus did not answer. A camera light blinked near the side rail. Nora King held her phone steady. Brent leaned into the microphone. "Mr. Hale had every opportunity to present complete documentation before today." Naomi pushed between the sponsors. "He did present it." One man turned. "Ma'am, sit down." She didn't. "I watched him put the envelope in that office last Tuesday." Brent's face changed before the smile returned. "Family testimony is noted." "Noted?" Naomi's voice cracked. Marcus moved his left hand, palm down. "Wait." She saw it and stopped. Travis rolled his shoulders. "This is what happens when people want rewards without discipline." The coin cut harder into Marcus's palm. His gaze dropped to the crate. One apple had split at the skin, pale flesh showing through. He bent, picked it up, and set it on top. The silence made the crowd restless. Brent checked his phone. He frowned. "Hold the announcement," he whispered to Owen. "Why?" Brent didn't answer. The loudspeaker popped again. "Stand by," a voice from the control booth said. "We have a verification call patched through for contestant Marcus Hale." Travis's smile thinned. "Verification from who?" Static scraped across the speakers. Then an older man's voice filled the fairground, calm enough to make the whole place feel smaller. "Ask him if he still answers to Harbor 6. The coin stopped moving in Marcus's fist. At 5:12 a.m., the kitchen window was still black, and the coffee maker clicked like it was trying not to wake the house. Marcus stood barefoot on the cold floor, buttoning the flannel shirt he had worn through 2 harvests. On the table, a folder waited beside apples, a bank envelope, and a photograph in a cracked plastic sleeve. Naomi came in wearing a gray sweater. "You're leaving now? Road's wet. The fair office doesn't open until 8. Truck needs gas. Apples need setting." She looked at the folder. "And they need another chance to lose your paperwork?" Marcus squared the folder's corners. "They won't lose what I hand them today." "You said that last Tuesday." Outside, wind moved through the orchard. Branches scraped softly. The house smelled of coffee, cut wood, and vinegar. Marcus poured half a cup and turned the mug so the handle faced Naomi. "I'm not going there to fight," he said. "That's what scares me. People learn that and keep taking pieces." He opened the bank envelope. The red line on the notice showed through the fold. Final review. 10 days. Naomi saw it. "How much?" "Enough." "That's not a number. It's a morning." Marcus put the notice back. Then he picked up the photograph. Elise stood between them in summer light, one hand over her eyes. Naomi was 16, laughing with an apple stem between her teeth. The corner caught on the torn seam inside his jacket pocket. He eased it free and tucked it deeper. "She would tell you to make them listen," Naomi said. "She told me plenty. She told you to stop disappearing inside yourself." The refrigerator hummed. A pipe ticked inside the wall. Marcus lifted the crate. "You got class at 9. I called in. I'm coming with you." "No." "You miss clinic hours. You lose placement. And if you lose this land?" Dawn showed leaning fence posts and rows that still needed pruning. "This land isn't worth your future," he said. She stood, chair legs scraping. "It is my future. Mom's trees are out there. Your hands are in every post." A truck passed, tires hissing on wet asphalt. Naomi reached for the folder. "At least let me make copies." "I already did." "Where?" He tapped his jacket. "Then why do you look like you're going to court with one shirt and a prayer?" His mouth softened. "Prayer takes less room." She turned away and wiped the counter. Marcus picked up the folder, the envelope, and one apple. He placed the apple in front of her. "For breakfast." "You always do that when you don't want to talk." "It works sometimes." "No, it makes me want to throw fruit." He nodded once. At the door, he pulled on his boots. His fingers paused at the top button of his coat. He pressed the photograph beneath the cloth once. Naomi followed him onto the porch. "If they laugh today, don't just stand there." The porch light buzzed above them. Moths clung to the glass. Marcus looked past her to the kitchen window, where Elise's empty chair was visible. "I'll stand where I have to," he said. Naomi watched him cross the yard to the pickup, the folder under his arm, apples knocking against the crate. When the engine turned over, the sound crossed the orchard, and the torn corner of the photograph pressed quietly against his chest. By 7:35 a.m., the glass front of Knox Performance Training threw Travis Knox's reflection back at him from 3 angles. He stood on the blue mat, tightening the knot of his black belt until the fabric rasped under his thumb. Trophies lined the wall behind him. "Again?" Kelly Vance called from the office. Travis watched the mirror. "Again what?" "You retied that belt 4 times. It sits crooked, people notice." Kelly stepped out with a tablet. She was 29, compact, sharp-eyed, with a pen chewed flat at the end. "People notice when you make the county fair sound like a title fight." "That's why they pay me." "They pay you for discipline, not theater." "Same thing, cleaner language." The door opened, and Brent Carver came in with a clipboard. Rain dotted his glasses. "You're never early with paperwork." Travis clapped once. "What do we have?" "Final schedule. Sponsors want the demonstration at noon. You introduce the fund, I run the course. Kids get photos after." "Noon is weak. Noon is what we have." Travis flipped through names, permits, aid applicants. His finger stopped halfway down a list. Marcus Hale. He said it quietly first, then louder. "This guy still around?" Brent reached for the page. "Small farm. Apples. Filed for the hardship review." "The old apple man?" Kelly's pen stopped moving. "He dresses like a scarecrow with a mortgage." Travis tapped the name. "He coming today?" "If his booth fee cleared." "Did it?" "Paid in cash. Exact amount." Travis laughed. "Of course." Kelly walked closer. "Why does that matter?" "It matters because this town keeps acting like discipline is optional. Folks want grants, extensions, forgiveness." Travis leaned against the counter. "Put Hale near the demonstration." Brent blinked. "Why?" "Contrast." "No." Travis's smile stayed, but the skin around his eyes tightened. Sponsors don't write checks because a committee looks honest. They write checks because they see a problem and somebody strong enough to fix it. The hardship review is separate. Everything is connected when cameras show up. Kelly lowered the tablet. "You want to use a farmer as a prop. I want to show what happens when a man refuses to train his life." The room went still, except for the ventilation fan ticking above the office door. Brent rubbed rain from one lens. "There can't be anything targeted." "Then don't target him. Invite him." Travis drew a box on the schedule. Endurance challenge. Open volunteer. Winner chooses which local fund receives the match. "That's not in the permit." "It will be in the amendment." Brent looked at Travis's poster with children. "Make it clean." "Always." Brent's phone buzzed. "Deputy Pike says parking is a mess already." "Owen will handle parking." Kelly's eyes narrowed. "Why is Deputy Pike involved?" "Because crowds need order." "No, crowds need bathrooms and shade." Travis slid the clipboard back. "Put me on stage before the sponsors speak." "With what?" Brent asked. "With truth." As Brent opened the door, Travis called after him. "Don't bury Hale in the back row. People can't learn from what they can't see." The bell chimed. Cold air crossed the mat and stirred the paper list. Kelly waited until the car pulled away. "That man didn't do anything to you." Travis faced the mirror again and smoothed the belt flat. "Not yet," he said. By 8:18 a.m., Marcus parked behind the livestock barn, where rain had softened gravel into brown paste. He lifted the first crate from the pickup. Apples knocked against wood. The air smelled of wet hay, hot oil, and generator smoke. "Registrations at the white tent," a teenager in an orange vest said. "Thank you." Marcus carried 2 crates past bright banners. At the white tent, he waited behind honey jars, his folder under one elbow. The clerk glanced at his boots. "Name?" "Marcus Hale." She ran a finger down the clipboard. "Hale Orchard. You're late for vendor placement." "It's 8:22. Preferred vendors loaded at 7. "I wasn't told 7. Before she answered, Brent Carver stepped from behind the tent, glasses speckled with rain. "Move the cider people by the sponsor lane," he told a volunteer. Then he saw Marcus. "Mr. Hale, we'll place you near the equipment shed." Marcus looked toward a shed half hidden by feed trailers. "My receipt says row B." Row B adjusted. "When?" "This morning." "I need foot traffic, Mr. Carver." "We all do." A man behind Marcus gave a short laugh. The clerk lowered her eyes. Then Travis Knox came through the lane in a black training jacket, Kelly Vance following with a tablet. "Well," Travis said, "Pine County's apple legend." Marcus bent to smooth the cloth over his crate. Travis picked up an apple without asking. "Rough harvest?" "Rain came early." "Rain comes for everybody." "Yes." The answer hung there, useless for Travis's performance. Brent cleared his throat. "Sponsors are gathering." "In a minute." Travis turned the apple. "Some folks bring products. Some folks bring a story." He lifted his voice. "And some folks can smell a handout from the parking lot." The words reached the honey table, the lemonade stand, the sponsor lane. A boy stopped chewing his straw. A vendor studied the ground. Kelly said, "Travis." Marcus held out his hand. "That one has a bruise on the bottom." Travis turned it over and smiled. "Don't we all?" He dropped it toward the crate. It struck the rim, bounced off, and rolled across the dusty boards until it tapped a sponsor's polished boot. Nobody bent down. The sponsor nudged it back with his shoe. Marcus picked it up and wiped it with his sleeve. His thumb passed once over the bruise. "Can you still sell that?" the boy asked. Marcus looked at him. "Not whole." "What do you do with it?" "Cut away what's bad. Use what's left." The boy's mother pulled him back. At the jam table, Lillian Price watched with silver hair pinned under a straw hat and both hands around a jar of peach preserves. Brent snapped the clipboard shut. "Equipment shed. Final placement." Marcus nodded. "Then I'll need a cart." "We're short on carts." "I'll carry them." Travis smiled toward the sponsors. "That's the spirit. Work builds character." Marcus lifted the crate. A wet splinter pressed into his palm. As he passed Lillian, she slid a folded napkin onto the wood. "For the apple," she murmured. He tucked the dusty fruit inside it. Behind him, Travis greeted donors in a brighter voice. Marcus kept walking toward the shed, and from the registration table came the sharp click of Brent's pen writing something beside his name. By 9:47 a.m., the rain had stopped, but the fairground board still breathed damp air through Marcus's boots. He had carried 4 crates to the equipment shed by himself. The spot sat beside folded barriers, far from the sponsor lane. Earl Dobbs limped over from the goat pens. "They buried you back here?" "Looks like shade." "That ain't shade, that's storage." Earl nodded at the folder. "You get review time?" "Today." "Mine moved to next month. Said my veteran form had the wrong attachment." Marcus looked up, but applause rose before he could answer. Travis Knox stood under the banner with Brent beside him. "Pine County doesn't need pity," Travis said. "It needs discipline." Brent took the microphone. "Mr. Knox has offered a match donation challenge, a simple endurance course. Winner directs the sponsor match." Naomi appeared at Marcus's side. "Dad, don't. I haven't moved." "You're listening." On stage, Travis shaded his eyes towards the shed. Maybe Mr. Hale would like the first chance to prove hardship doesn't mean helpless. People turned. Heads shifted like wind through dry corn. Marcus closed the folder. Naomi gripped his sleeve. "This is a setup." "Yes." "Then why are you standing?" "Because if I sit, he still gets what he wants." Brent called, "Mr. Hale? No pressure." The laugh was small, but it reached them. Marcus handed Naomi the folder. "Hold this." "No." "Please." She took it like it was warm enough to burn. Marcus crossed the wet lane. Travis waited with a camera-ready smile. "There he is," Travis said. "I'm here." "Terms are easy. We each run the course. Best time wins." "And the wager?" Travis lifted a paper. "If I win, you withdraw your hardship application and support merit-based aid. If you win, the match goes to the emergency pool. Naomi pushed forward. That wasn't announced. Your father can read. Marcus took the paper. Rain curled one corner. Brent leaned in. It's voluntary. Is my review voluntary too? Different matter. Then separate it. The microphone caught the words. Sandra Mills sat under the sponsor tent. The county cannot distribute funds to applicants unwilling to demonstrate good faith. Running a course is good faith? Naomi asked. Participation shows community confidence, Sandra said. Marcus looked at the farmers behind the last row. If I win, Marcus said, the emergency pool covers all pending reviews in order, not just mine. Travis's smile flickered. Brent whispered, We can't promise. The sponsors can hear you. One sponsor leaned forward. That sounds fair enough. Brent's pen hovered above the page. A tremor ran through the tip before ink found the line. Sign here, he said. Marcus took the pen. It felt slick from Brent's hand. He signed without leaning on the table. Travis signed with a flourish, then tapped the paper. Easy money. From behind Marcus, Earl said, Lord help us. Marcus reached for the folder, but Naomi held it 1 second longer. Tell me you have another copy, she whispered. Marcus looked toward Brent, already sliding the signed wager under the original rule sheet. In the truck, he said. Naomi's fingers tightened around the folder as the first whistle blew for the course inspection. At 10:16 a.m., Travis slapped both palms together and jogged to the starting line as if the field had been built for him. The course cut through the damp fairground, feed sacks, a low wall, a rain-slick balance beam, hay ropes, then a flagpost. No fighting, no contact, just time, weight, mud, and breath. Simple, Travis called. Mind over body. Marcus rolled his shoulders once. Naomi stood near the rope with his folder against her chest. Earl Dobbs came up behind her. He ever done one of these? She didn't look away. He carried Mom from the orchard to the truck when the ambulance got stuck. Earl lowered his cap. Brent raised a whistle. Mr. Knox first. Travis took off hard. His shoes slapped water from the boards. He lifted the first sack high and charged toward the platform. Look at form, Deputy Pike said. Kelly watched from the side. That's not form. That's speed. Travis cleared the wall. At the ropes, his jacket caught on a knot. He laughed, yanked it free, and rolled out with mud on his sleeve. He planted the flag. That is what training looks like. Brent checked the stopwatch. 2 minutes, 58 seconds. The crowd clapped. Marcus stepped forward. Travis leaned close. Try not to embarrass your daughter. Marcus looked at the line. Move your foot. Travis glanced down. His shoe was over the mark. For 1 small second, nobody laughed. Brent blew the whistle. Marcus did not sprint. He bent, gripped the first sack at the lower seam, and lifted it to his shoulder without a grunt. Mud sucked at his boots as he moved, each step placed where the ground held firm. Come on, farmer, Travis called. Clock's running. Marcus shifted the sack down before the platform, used his knee once, then slid it into the marked box. Not fast, not showy, clean. Nora filmed from the side rail. Her phone followed his hands. He tested the wall with 2 fingers before climbing. He crossed the slick beam with his eyes fixed ahead. Kelly whispered, He's conserving. Brent heard her. What? Energy. At the ropes, Marcus went flat before reaching them. His coat brushed hay dust loose. He moved under without catching a button and came up with mud across one sleeve. The crowd had gone unevenly quiet. Near the final stretch, a child's paper cup rolled into the lane. Marcus stepped around it. "Run!" Naomi shouted, then covered her mouth. Marcus planted the flag. Brent clicked the stopwatch. He stared at it. "Well?" Travis demanded. Brent swallowed. 3 minutes, 4 seconds. Travis threw both hands up. "I win." 6 seconds, Sandra Mills said. "A valid margin." Marcus wiped mud from his wrist. "Second run?" Travis laughed. "There is no second run." Nora looked down at her recording. Why were the sacks different? Brent turned. "Excuse me?" She pointed toward the start. His first sack sagged at the bottom. Mr. Knox's didn't. Kelly crossed the rope and pressed a hand against the burlap. Then she tried to lift it. Her elbow locked. "This one's heavier," she said. Deputy Pike stepped into the lane. "Ma'am, stay behind the rope." Marcus looked at the sack, then at Brent's clipboard. The mud on his sleeve cooled in the wind, while Brent flipped to a page he had not shown before. The page Brent opened was not part of the packet Marcus had signed. Its top corner was dry, untouched by mist curling every other sheet on the clipboard. "What is that?" Naomi asked. Brent kept it against his chest. "Addendum C." "There was no Addendum C," Nora said, still recording. Deputy Owen Pike stepped between her phone and the table. "Back up." Travis walked over with mud on one sleeve. "Don't tell me we're doing paperwork because he lost by 6 seconds. Kelly stood by the sacks. "He didn't run the same course." "Weight varies," Brent said. "By how much?" "That's not the question." Marcus held out his hand. "Let me see it." Brent hesitated long enough for the first row to see the white page. Sandra Mills came from the sponsor tent. "Mr. Hale, your eligibility is the matter before us now." "My eligibility was before you last Tuesday." "And remains incomplete." Naomi pushed forward with Marcus's folder. "Verification, deed, bank notice, tax statement, all certified." Sandra did not take it. "Not under amended language." "What amended language?" Travis leaned toward the microphone. "This is why discipline matters. Read rules before you sign." Marcus moved one hand, palm down. Naomi stopped, but her fingers tightened until the folder bowed. "Mr. Carver," Marcus said, "when was that page added?" "This morning." "What time?" Brent wiped his glasses on his shirt. "Before the event." "What time?" Sandra slid a form from her folder. "You may preserve dignity by withdrawing voluntarily." Even Travis stopped smiling for half a breath. Marcus looked at the form. A withdrawal statement. His name already typed. Naomi saw it, too. "You printed that before he ran." "Standard preparation." Earl Dobbs stepped out from behind the rope. "They did that to mine." Brent snapped. "Earl, not now." "You had a missing attachment paper ready before I sat down." A murmur rolled toward the goat pens. Marcus removed a folded certified copy from his jacket and placed it on the table. Sandra touched it with 2 fingers. "Copies must be submitted through the office." "This was submitted." "Not according to county intake." Naomi said. "I watched him put it in your Dropbox." "A family statement does not cure procedural failure." Marcus looked down. Brent's thumb had landed over the bottom line, flattening where Marcus had signed the packet. "Move your hand," Marcus said. Brent blinked. "What?" "Your thumb." The crowd could see it now. Marcus Hale, signed and dated, under a wet crescent of pressure. Brent lifted his thumb. Nora's camera light blinked red. Sandra pulled the withdrawal form back. "The committee will note your refusal to cooperate." "I haven't refused." "You have refused the process." "No," Marcus said. "I refused the trap." The fairground went so quiet, the friar in the next lane hissed like rain. Travis stepped close enough for only Marcus to hear. "Careful, old man. Pride makes people lose everything. Marcus handed the certified copy to Naomi. Put it in the truck. She shook her head. Dad! Now. As Naomi backed away, Brent folded Addendum C beneath the wager sheet, but one corner remained visible, white against the damp clipboard, with tomorrow's date printed at the top. Travis saw Naomi walking toward the parking lane with the certified copy and raised his voice before she reached the rope. Hold on. Documents don't leave an active review. Naomi stopped with the folder against her ribs. You don't run the review. No, but I can read a room. People came to support work, not papers every time the clock tells the truth. Marcus stepped off the mat. Mud pulled at his heel. Brent gathered the sheets. We are pausing the challenge. You already called it, Travis said. He lost. Kelly pointed at the feed sack, with extra weight. Then he should be stronger. The laugh was thinner than before. Lillian twisted a napkin between both hands. Naomi moved again. Deputy Pike blocked her path. Ma'am, bring that back. It's my father's copy. It's part of a county matter now, Marcus said. Owen? The deputy's jaw shifted. Travis stepped toward Naomi. We're giving him a graceful way out. He reached for the folder. Marcus moved one step. Don't touch her. The nearest row heard him. Travis lifted both hands. See? There's the temper. Naomi jerked the folder back. The clasp popped loose. Papers slid out and slapped against muddy boards. A bank notice opened face up. The family photograph slipped from the pocket and landed in a puddle. Nobody moved. Elise's face blurred beneath brown water. Naomi at 16 disappeared under floating grass. Naomi bent first. No, no, no. Marcus crouched beside her. His knees touched the mud. He picked up the photograph by two corners and held it flat on his sleeve. Travis's voice dropped. Maybe keep memories out of files. Kelly turned on him. Enough. Sandra did not bend. She watched the bank notice soak through. Earl gathered one tax sheet. A boy picked up another. His mother caught his shoulder, then let go. Naomi wiped the photo with her thumb. The mud smeared across Elisa's cheek. I'm sorry, she whispered. Marcus took the picture. His fingers missed the sleeve opening. He tried once, failed, and lowered his hand. The fair noise returned. A goat bleating, fryer oil snapping, a generator coughing. Travis leaned closer. Withdraw, Marcus. Save what's left. Marcus pressed the photograph against his coat. Brent raised the microphone. Due to documentation irregularities, the committee may proceed with disqualification. Nora stepped onto the platform edge. Say it again with the camera on you. Deputy Pike reached for the rope. Miss King, step back. I have him on video submitting a certified copy 5 minutes ago. Sandra's head turned. Nora kept filming. And I have tomorrow's date on your addendum. Brent's face drained. Travis cut in fast. This isn't a courtroom. No, Marcus said. He rose slowly. Mud clung to both knees. The photograph rested in his palm. Elisa's smile almost gone under the streak. It's smaller than that. Travis frowned. What's that mean? Marcus looked at the soaked papers, sponsor badges, and people who had laughed. It means people notice more in small rooms. Then he folded the photograph once beside the old crease, protecting the face that remained. From the sound booth, a young technician called, Sir, someone from Norfolk is on the office line asking for Marcus Hale. Nora reached the sound booth before Brent did. The booth was a plywood box behind the livestock stand, hot from electronics and smelling of dust, coffee, and damp cords. A teenage technician held the receiver away from his ear. He keeps asking if this is Pine County Fair, the boy said. Brent climbed the steps. No calls go over the public system without clearance. Nora kept recording. Then clear it. Below, Marcus stood with the folded photograph in his hand. Mud had dried in dark crescents on his knees. Naomi stayed close enough that her shoulder brushed his sleeve. The technician looked down. "Sir, he says he knows Harbor 6. The words cut through the crowd. Travis laughed once. "Great. Secret nicknames." Marcus did not look at him. "Office phone. Not the speakers." Brent seized on that. "Private verification." Nora blocked the door. "Private is how your addendum got tomorrow's date." Sandra arrived with her tablet. "This has gone far enough." "No," Naomi said. "It went far enough when my mother's picture landed in mud and nobody bent down." Lillian lowered her basket. Glass clinked softly. The phone crackled. "Marcus, this is Ray Cole." Marcus's eyes closed for half a second. "Ray, you all right?" Marcus looked at Brent's clipboard and Travis wiping mud from his sleeve. "I'm at a fair," Marcus said. "That bad?" A small sound moved through the people nearest the booth. Cole's voice sharpened. "A reporter sent me a frame of a command coin. She asked if the mark meant anything." Nora swallowed. "I didn't know who else to call." "You did right," Cole said. "Marcus, are they questioning service status?" Marcus's thumb rested on the ruined crease of the photograph. "Paperwork. That's what they call it when they don't want to say people." Sandra stepped forward. "This call cannot determine eligibility." Cole heard enough. "Who is speaking?" "Sandra Mills, liaison." "Ms. Mills, if Marcus Hale's verification is missing from your file is incomplete, not the man." Deputy Pike shifted. Travis's smile faded. Brent forced a chuckle. "Sir, records are not released casually." "I know," Cole said. "I signed requests that came back blacked out." Marcus looked at Nora. "End the call." "No," Naomi said. The word surprised him. She took the receiver, but spoke toward her father. "You don't get to disappear because it's easier for everybody else." Outside, bells rang from a midway game. Somewhere a child cried because a balloon slipped loose. Cole's voice softened. "Naomi?" She stiffened. "Yes. Your mother wrote me once. She asked what life a man builds after surviving too much. I told her I didn't know. She said she would teach him." Marcus lowered his head. The folded photograph shook once. Lillian picked up one wet page from the mud and read the stamp. "Mr. Carver," she said. "This says received." Earl moved beside her. "Mine said received, too." Nora turned back to the phone. "Captain Cole, can you come here?" Static filled the booth. "I'm 90 minutes out," Cole said. "Tell Marcus to stay where people can see him." Naomi held out the receiver, and Marcus took it. "Ray," he said. "Yes?" "Bring only what you're allowed to bring." Cole said, "That will be enough." Naomi found the letter because the glove compartment would not close. The old pickup sat at the edge of the parking lane, half shaded by a red maple. Rainwater ticked from the hood. Inside, the cab smelled of orchard dust, worn vinyl, and peppermint gum. Naomi slid the folder under the seat, then saw a yellowed envelope caught behind the owner's manual. Her mother's handwriting stopped her hand. "Marcus, if you ever need reminding." The fair's music came thin through the glass. She should not open it, but she knew how her father could fold pain so small nobody saw it until it cut through him. The flap had been opened years ago. "Marcus, if you are reading this in the truck, then you are probably parked somewhere you don't want to enter." I know that look. You pretend to check the mirrors when what you are really doing is deciding how much of yourself the room is allowed to have. Naomi covered her mouth. The passenger door opened. Lillian Price stood outside with rain on her straw hat and one wet tax sheet in her hand. "I'm sorry," Lillian said. "Didn't mean to scare you." "It's okay." "That your mama's?" Naomi nodded. Lillian handed in the paper. "This fell under the platform. It's stamped." Naomi looked at the blurred mark. Received. Lillian's fingers pressed a red dent in her palm. "I should have said something earlier." "You gave him a napkin." "That isn't speaking." Lillian stepped back. "Read what she left, then make us hear it." At the reporter tent, Nora cleared a folding table. Flyers slid onto wet grass. Her phone, 2 damp forms, and Marcus's certified copy lay under a buzzing bulb. "This isn't just him," Nora said. Earl Dobbs stood by the flap. "What do you mean?" "Same missing attachment, same pressure to withdraw, different farms." Sandra Mills came up the path. "Those documents are not for public display." Nora did not move. "Then request a private hearing." "We are handling this internally." "You were handling it in mud." Sandra's jaw tightened. "Be careful, Miss King." Naomi entered with the letter folded against her chest. Nora lowered her voice. "What is it?" "Something my mother wrote." "Private?" Naomi looked toward the stage. Marcus stood near the rope line, holding the ruined photograph. Travis spoke to sponsors as if the crowd could still become applause. "She wrote it to him," Naomi said, "but I think she wrote it for today." Nora touched the recorder button, then stopped. "Only if you say so." Naomi unfolded the page. "When a town decides a quiet man has no story, don't let your silence help them finish the lie. You came home because you wanted peace. I love that in you. But peace is not the same as letting people build a locked door and call it procedure." Earl took off his cap. Lillian turned toward the field. Sandra whispered, "This is emotional manipulation." "No," Naomi said, folding the letter with care. "It's handwriting." A gust lifted the tent wall. The bulb swung, making the wet papers shine and darken. Nora looked at the stamp, the dated addendum, then the letter in Naomi's hand. "I need names," she said. Earl stepped fully into the tent. "Start with mine." Across the fairground, Marcus turned as if he had heard something no microphone carried. The folding chairs in the community hall scraped the floor as people came in from the fairground with mud on their shoes. Marcus sat at the front table. The ruined photograph lay inside Lillian's napkin beside his hand. Brent stood near the flag with a fresh shirt over damp cuffs. "This is not a hearing," he said into the microphone. "It is a clarification session." Nora King plugged her phone into the projector. "Then clarify it with the video on." Sandra Mills folded her arms. "Unauthorized recordings may violate privacy." "Then every laugh on that stage should have asked permission first," Naomi said. Travis leaned against the back wall, clean jacket zipped high, black belt hidden now under politeness. Deputy Pike shut the side door. The room lost fried dough and took on floor wax, wet wool, and old coffee. Brent tapped the microphone. "Mr. Hale's application contained missing verification, incomplete attachments, and—" "Play it," Marcus said. The video shook, then steadied on the table outside. Marcus's certified copy appeared in his hand. Sandra pushed it back. Brent's thumb slid across the signature line. The white edge of Addendum C showed under the wager sheet. Someone whispered, "Tomorrow's date." On the screen, Naomi's folder burst open. The photograph fell. No one bent down until Naomi did. Nora paused the frame on Brent's thumb, covering Marcus's signature. "Is that your hand?" she asked. Brent's mouth tightened. "That angle is misleading." Kelly Vance stood near the aisle. "No, it isn't." Travis looked at her. "Kelly." She did not sit. I checked the sack too. Mr. Hale carried more weight. That isn't on the agenda, Sandra said. It was on his back. Earl Dobbs rose slowly, cap pressed to his chest. My review was moved after I refused to sign a withdrawal. Brent closed his folder. Your case is separate. They said my attachment was missing. I brought 3 copies. Earl's voice shook. Discharge papers, bank notice, a letter saying I couldn't keep waiting. Next week, my north field goes to auction. Marcus's eyes moved to him. Hector Alvarez, 63, broad-shouldered and gray-bearded, stood from the back row. His cane squeaked on the floor. They told me my service dates were unverifiable. Hector lifted a plastic envelope. The federal office verified them in 2 days. May Bell, a dairy farmer with red knuckles and tired braids, stood beside him. They told me to come back with a husband's signature. I buried him in March. No one spoke. The projector fan hummed. Brent tried to smile. We all understand people are under pressure. No, Nora said. We're asking who made the pressure useful. Sandra gathered her papers. This meeting is becoming hostile. Marcus placed one finger on the napkin so it would not slide. Hostile would be easier, he said. Travis pushed off the wall. You people are letting a farmer turn a charity event into an accusation. Marcus looked back at him. I didn't bring the withdrawal form. The sentence landed without force and stayed there. The projector shifted to one final paused frame. Tomorrow's date, printed at the top of Addendum C, bright above mud-dark papers. At the rear door, someone knocked 3 times, and Nora's phone lit with a message from Captain Raymond Cole. 10 minutes out. Don't let them adjourn. The knock came again, slower this time. Deputy Pike opened the rear door, and the hall turned to look. A man stepped inside with a flat leather folder under one arm. His coat was dark with road mist. White hair showed beneath a plain cap. Raymond Cole, he said. Retired captain. No one clapped. Marcus did not stand. His hand stayed on Lillian's napkin, keeping the ruined photograph from sliding off the table. Cole stopped beside him. You got old, Cole said. Marcus's mouth moved almost into a smile. You got loud. I drove 90 minutes. I earned volume. Naomi wiped her palms on her jeans. Captain Cole? He turned to her. You have your mother's eyes. That made Marcus look away. Brent stepped forward. Captain, this county has procedures. Cole placed the folder on the table. So did we. Sandra Mills reached for it. Records must be submitted through proper channels. Cole kept one finger on the flap. Copies cleared for identity verification only. No operations. No names that don't belong here. Travis folded his arms. Convenient. Cole looked at him. Convenience is printing a withdrawal form before a contest starts. Nora adjusted the projector. May I? Cole nodded. First page. The document appeared large on the wall. Marcus Elijah Hale. Service verification. Officer status. Instructor certification. Dates. A seal. Sandra's voice thinned. This confirms service. It does not confirm eligibility. Cole opened a second page. This confirms he filed under the veteran farmer provision requested on September 28th. Brent looked down. And this, Cole said, sliding out a third copy, is your intake receipt from October 10th. Stamped, signed, scanned. Earl Dobbs whispered, Same stamp. Marcus stared at the receipt as if it belonged to someone else. Travis pushed away from the wall. All this proves is he had papers. It doesn't prove he should have been treated special. Marcus turned. I asked to be treated ordinary. The room quieted. Cole looked at the faded coin near Marcus's fist. Still carrying it? Marcus opened his hand. The brass coin lay dull under the lights. Cole picked it up so the nearest row could see the mark. Harbor 6 was not a nickname, he said. It was a call sign. I can't tell you every place Marcus Hale went. I can tell you men followed his voice when panic would have killed them. Travis swallowed, but said nothing. Cole set the coin beside the napkin. When he came home, he asked me never to use that name unless somebody tried to erase the man attached to it. The hall stayed still. Maybelle pressed 2 fingers to her mouth. Kelly Vance lowered her eyes. Deputy Pike shifted his feet. Sandra closed her tablet. We will conduct an internal review. Nora said, No, you'll conduct a recorded one. Cole slid the folder toward Marcus. Your call. Marcus looked at Naomi, Earl's cap twisting in his hands, Hector's cane, Maybelle sitting alone. Then he looked at the photograph in the napkin. The mud dried across Elise's smile. Recorded, Marcus said. The word was quiet, but every chair heard it. Nora restarted the camera. Brent reached for his microphone, then stopped when the side door opened, and Paula Reeves walked in with 2 binders and no smile. Paula Reeves did not sit behind the officials' table. She set 2 binders on the front bench, removed her raincoat, and looked at Marcus Hale's service verification glowing on the wall. My name is Paula Reeves, she said. Interim Director for County Grants, effective 12 minutes ago. Brent stared. By whose authority? The emergency board quorum you tried to adjourn before Captain Cole arrived. The hall shifted. Travis leaned near the back wall. Sandra Mills closed her tablet. This is irregular. Paula opened the first binder. She was 49, steel gray hair pinned tight, glasses hanging from a cord. Irregular is 4 veteran farmer applications marked incomplete after receipt stamps were issued. Earl stopped twisting his cap. Also irregular, Paula said, is a withdrawal template printed before review time. Templates are prepared for efficiency, Brent said. Efficiency usually waits for facts. Nora's camera light blinked. Paula lifted a sheet. Addendum C uploaded at 9:31 this morning. Naomi leaned forward. After Dad signed? After Mr. Hale signed and after sponsor placement was finalized. Travis raised a hand. I don't know anything about grant logs. Kelly Vance turned in the aisle. You told him to put Marcus near the demonstration. That was marketing. You called him contrast. Travis gave a short laugh. Kelly, don't perform. She looked at Marcus. I'm sorry. Marcus's thumb rested beside the mud on Elise's photograph. You don't owe me a speech, he said. That made her sit down. Lillian Price rose with a jar of preserves. The lid pressed red ring into her palm. I watched that apple roll, and I waited for somebody else to bend down. Brent looked at the floor. I gave him a napkin, Lillian said. That was easier than giving him my voice. No one moved. Travis pushed off the wall. This is ridiculous. I ran a public challenge. He lost. Marcus turned in his chair. You made the loss useful. I made it visible. You made it cruel. Cole stepped closer. Pride gets loud when cornered. I don't need advice from a man with mystery papers. No, Cole said. The cameras are still on. Travis looked at Nora's phone. His shoulders dropped. Sandra reached for the pages. Paula placed her palm on them. These stay. My bank has obligations. And this county has obligations. Maybelle stood. Will our applications be reopened? Paula looked at Marcus. Every delayed application will be reviewed in original order. Earl let out a breath that sounded painful. Naomi touched her father's sleeve. Marcus covered her hand once, then let go. Paula faced Brent. You are relieved of fair authority pending investigation. Brent removed his glasses. I was trying to keep sponsors happy. Hector tapped his cane once. Then you served the wrong people. The room received that without applause. Lillian came forward and set the jar near Marcus's napkin. For the apple you couldn't sell. Marcus looked at the jar, then at her. Thank you, he said. At the back, Travis slipped through the door without his students, without a speech, without anyone calling after him. Outside, through the wet glass, his reflection crossed the hallway and broke apart in the rain. Paula Reeves pinned the first clean sheet over the faded fare notice at 8 the next morning. The thumbtack bent. She straightened it and tried again. The paper read, Emergency Assistance Review Rules. All changes must be recorded. All intake must be witnessed. Veteran farmer reviews require an outside advocate. No withdrawal may be prepared before a decision. Marcus stood near the back wall of the county office, hat in both hands. Sunlight cut through blinds across his coat. He had cleaned mud from his boots, but stains remained in the seams. Naomi whispered, You should be at the table. I can hear from here. You're the reason they're here. No, they're the reason. Earl Dobbs sat in front beside Hector Alvarez and May Bell. Lillian Price held a jar wrapped in a towel on her lap. Paula turned. Mr. Hale, confirm the language. Marcus walked forward. The room smelled of copier heat, wool, and varnish. He read without touching the page. Add one more, he said. Paula uncapped a pen. Go ahead. If a person asks for a copy of their file, they receive it that day. Brent Carver, seated at the side table, looked up. Paula wrote, Agreed. Through the glass door, Travis Knox stood in the hallway. No belt, no students, no camera smile. Only a dark jacket zipped to the throat. Naomi saw him. He came. Marcus did not turn. Then let him hear. Paula continued. The board recommends Mr. Hale receive the emergency allocation immediately. No, Marcus said. Naomi blinked. Dad. Marcus looked at Earl's cap, Hector's cane, May's raw hands. Review in original order, like the rule says. May shook her head. Your field is at risk too. So is yours. Paula lowered the pen. This could delay payment. I understand delay better than paperwork. Brent stood. Marcus. Paula's eyes sharpened. Mr. Carver, you are here as observer. I know. Brent swallowed. I moved names because sponsors wanted clean stories, farms they could photograph, people who didn't ask why. He turned toward Earl. Your file was complete. Earl stared at him. Hector's too. May's too. Marcus's too. Marcus said, Put that in writing. Brent nodded once. I will. From the hallway, Travis pushed the door open. The hinge squealed. I want to say something. Paula stepped between him and the table. This is not a platform. I know. He looked at Marcus, but not for long. My campaign is done. I pulled the ads. The Youth Fund Board removed my name. Kelly Vance, by the copier, said, They removed you because I sent the schedule emails. Travis's jaw worked. Yes. Travis took a folded paper from his pocket. I wrote an apology. Don't read it, Marcus said. Travis froze. If it's for cameras, keep it. If it's for me, you know where the orchard is. Rainwater dripped from Travis's sleeve onto tile. Paula pinned the revised rule sheet to the board. This time, the tack went in straight. Marcus stepped back beside Naomi. She looked at the new page. Mom would have made you sign it bigger. Marcus took the pen and wrote his name at the bottom, small and even. Through the glass, the hallway filled with farmers waiting their turn, each holding a folder close enough that no one could cover the signature with a thumb. 3 weeks after the fair, the first truck pulled into Hale Orchard before sunrise. It was Earl Dobbs behind the wheel, with 2 thermoses on the seat, and his cap sitting crooked. Hector Alvarez followed in a smaller truck with fence boards tied down. Maybelle arrived last, carrying a box of clean jars and a notebook full of names. Marcus came out of the barn with sawdust on his sleeves. "You all lost?" he asked. Earl lifted one thermos. "County office said we had to wait our turn. Figured we could wait with tools." Naomi opened the barn doors wider. Cold air moved through the rafters, carrying the smell of pine boards, apples, and old rain drying out of the wood. The emergency review had not made Marcus rich. It had bought time. The bank paused for closure. Earl's North Field came off the auction list. Hector's file was corrected. May received written approval without anyone asking for a signature from a man she could no longer bring home. Inside the county office, Paula Reeves posted a public report every Friday at noon. Intake receipts were scanned while applicants watched. A camera now faced the review table, not the waiting chairs. Brent Carver resigned before the investigation finished. The final report said he had favored sponsor-friendly files and concealed completed applications. Sandra Mills was removed from the county program and reassigned pending a banking review. Deputy Pike received a formal reprimand for interfering with public documentation. None of it came with shouting, just signatures, dates, and doors that no longer opened for them the same way. Travis Knox came to the orchard on a gray afternoon without his training jacket. Marcus was repairing a stall when the tires stopped near the gate. Naomi looked up from sanding a bench. "I can ask him to leave," she said. "No." Travis stood by the truck, holding a folded paper. He looked smaller without a crowd arranged behind him. "I wrote it again," he said. Marcus set the hammer down. "Then say the part that isn't polished." Travis stared at the mud near his shoes. "I needed you to be weak." Naomi stopped sanding. Travis swallowed. "Because if you weren't, then I was just cruel." Marcus waited. "The youth board removed me. Kelly kept the gym open for the kids, under another name." Travis looked toward the barn. "She made them start a class on how not to use strength." Marcus picked up a bent nail and dropped it into a coffee can. "Good," he said. "That's all?" "That's enough for today." Travis nodded once, folded the paper smaller, and walked back to his truck. He did not ask to be forgiven where the road could see. By late October, the old barn had a hand-painted sign. Community Training Barn. No grand opening. No ribbon. Just coffee on a workbench, folding chairs, and a rule Marcus wrote in pencil before Naomi painted it on the wall. "Bring your papers. Keep your dignity." Nora King came to cover the first session, but she left her camera in the car for the first hour. Lillian Price set a jar of peach preserves on the table and placed a clean napkin under it. "For whatever rolls off next," she said. Marcus looked at the jar, then at the crate of fresh apples by the door. The first apple from the new box was round, red, and unbruised. He took it in both hands and laid it beside Elise's photograph, now cleaned and set in a simple frame without glass. Naomi noticed. "You're not protecting it?" Marcus touched the edge of the frame. "No, I'm letting it stay in the room." Outside, the orchard rows held the last gold of evening. Inside, farmers opened folders one by one, not hiding the corners, not apologizing for needing help, not lowering their voices when they said what had been done. Naomi stood beside Marcus as the first young man walked in with a worn envelope and shaking fingers. Marcus pulled out a chair, "Sit," he said. "We'll read it together." The barn settled around them, boards creaking softly in the cooling dark, while the apple beside Elise's picture caught the last light and held it. If this story reminded you of a time when someone quiet was underestimated, judged, or pushed aside by a system that should have listened, share your thoughts in the comments. Your story might be exactly what another person needs to hear today. Share this with someone who believes dignity matters, especially when no one is clapping for it. And subscribe for more stories about justice, quiet strength, second chances, and the kind of change that begins when one person refuses to disappear. Thank you for watching. And remember, sometimes the strongest voice in the room is the one that waited until the truth could stand on its own.